Yeah, it's been really positive. Really happy with how I've performed. The amount you need to improve every session is crazy. It's quite tough mentally because, like I say, you think you've done enough and you never have. But like most people that are at the front are there 5 years. Listen more in school. For some reason, I don't know why, I've got a soft spot for 80s music. Sink or swim, really. I feel like you've got two options in life, you know.
Welcome to McCann's Yamaha Hospitality, because we have a Yamaha rider with us. This is the beauty of podcasts. Even though we've been doing this for 10 years, this is the first time I've actually sat down. Martrain Yamaha's Jack Kennedy. Jack, welcome to the podcast, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks for having me. I was quite surprised when you told me you're doing it for 10 years and I hadn't been on. So that's very cheeky of you not to have me on and all this a long time. But I know we've been meaning to do this most of the year and we just really haven't had time. And thanks for not making it so pushy, that putting me under pressure to do it as well. And we've sort of just landed here today and it's sort of just come quite naturally as well, which I prefer as well. So I do appreciate that. And it's good to be finally on.
Thank you. That's very kind of you. Thank you. We don't do pushy. There's no point. Yeah. You do it in your time when you're relaxed, and especially you know what can happen during the day, especially here at Cadwell.
There's so much going on. It's so busy, and
exactly that.
So when it suits, it suits.
Yeah. So I appreciate you making the time. Thanks, Jack. Tell me about the season so far on the Martrain Yamaha R1.
Yeah, it's been really positive. Really happy with how I've performed. We've had some really good results. We've been running up the sharp end, up at the front, Silverstone and Thruxton and Brands in the wet and stuff like that as well. So I think we've had some really good showings of form, and we've scored points in every race but two now. Crashed out one race, my own mistake in Donington, and unfortunately Danny Kent's bike had a problem and he crashed, which took me out of the race in Thruxton. So we've only had two non-point scoring finishes in the whole year, and I think that's quite I think impressive is the word to say. So I'm quite proud of that, and yeah, I think it's been a really good year, and we've been inside the top 10 consistently as well. So I think as our first year, I think we've done quite well.
I think it is quite impressive because it's such a competitive series. And I put this out, and I'll say it again on the podcast. I've said it a couple of times today already. It is so competitive in that field with all the experience that the riders have. You're super experienced on a motorcycle, but BSB and stepping up and coming in as a four-time British Supersport Champion.
It's another level. It's not even, you can't even compare anything Supersport to Superbike. The level, like you say, is crazy. The amount you need to improve every session is crazy. You've never done enough. Whenever you think you've done enough, it's never enough. Whether it be to get into Q2, whether it to be on the front three rows, never enough. It's crazy. There's just always someone to better you or put you back a few places. So it's quite tough mentally because, like I say, you think you've done enough and you never have. So it's quite hard to take. Really, especially coming from Supersport where you most of the time on pole or on the front row and winning a lot of races. To come back and readjust your targets, it is difficult. But I know I'm in one of the most competitive domestic series in the world and some of the best riders in the world, and like you say, a lot of them have been in it a long time as well, so they have a lot of experience, and you can't just jump on a superbike like I've done now and expect to be at the front or expect to have amazing results, because it just doesn't happen. Nobody does it. Anybody that's in the class is in there a few years, and I think the speed comes with experience. So yeah, I think we've done a good job, but the class is just crazy, and you could do a lap time in free practice 1 and improve by maybe 0.8 or 1 second in free practice 2 and go back 4 places, and you're just like, would you ever just give me a break? So yeah, it's a bit of a joke, but it's fun, and that's why we're here.
What's the biggest thing you found out about yourself for this season, stepping up from the Supersport to Superbike?
I think one of the biggest things you have to really change is your organisation and your planning of the weekend, just because of how busy it is and how much you're on and off track constantly. Like, it's normally a late start on a Friday, which is strange, like 1 o'clock, because I'm used to Supersport, which is 9:30. But once that 1 o'clock hits, you basically just don't stop then for the whole weekend. Saturday's so busy, 2 races on the Sunday. It's just quite difficult to manage everything, manage people, manage your food, your hydration, everything. You just have to stay on top of everything and make sure you're getting a good night's sleep as well, because the Superbike is just so much more physical than the Supersport to ride as well. So I think you just have to really take care of yourself and mind everything and plan everything out quite well, because there's a lot that goes in behind the scenes that everyone doesn't see. And in Supersport, you could nearly say it was quite relaxed, and this is definitely not relaxed.
It's well documented. You came up previously into BSB, and it wasn't the best situation at the time. So to get the best out of that for you now, coming up with essentially your own team, back to 2011 with Martrain, it's synonymous with the team.
No, it's great to have that relationship and that understanding with the team. We all know each other, and we won the Supersport Championship last year, so it's great to step up with the same team. And relationship and atmosphere is everything in a team, and I think every sort of rider knows that. And you need a happy sort of nice environment around you, because it's such a high stress job and environment. You need them people around you to have a bit of crack as well, because it's so high stress and under so much pressure. Sometimes you need that little bit of laugh just to balance things out, but obviously having a laugh and being focused and determined at the same time to do the job that you're here to do. So we have a bit of crack in the team, but we're also very focused and professional on what we need to do. So I really enjoy myself at the team, and it's been a good year so far.
What's been the highlight for you so far?
I would say, even though I've had the fourth position in the wet and brands, it's a close one between the 5th place in Thruxton in race 2, because you're only, I think, 2.8 seconds off the win and like 0.034 off a podium as well. So I'd say that was my best ever. That is my best ever dry BSB race, and it felt really good to sitting in 10th or 11th place and then pick people off and come through. That was a really nice feeling, and to have pace. But I would say like Silverstone was quite crazy the first round, to be so quick out of gate, out of first session, and to be up mixing it with it, battling for the lead in the races was a little bit surreal. So I think it's a close one between Silverstone as a whole weekend was amazing for our first round, and Thruxton in the dry for race 2 for our best ever result.
Which is, for me, coming into doing that in your first season on what isn't a factory motorcycle, yet the Yamaha's is talking to Ryan Vickers earlier on, the Yamaha is good everywhere. It doesn't excel in any particular place, but it's good everywhere. So to come in on that package and to do what you've done, I think for me shows now the Jack Kennedy that should have been in British Superbike 4 or 5 seasons ago. I know it's down to opportunity, but
like you say, 4 or 5 seasons ago, and if I had 4 seasons under my belt now, I think I'd be in a lot different position, and I'd be challenged for wins and if not championships. And I don't mean to sound cocky by saying that, but I think to be quick in this class you need experience, and you need time on track, and you need time on superbikes, because Supersport and Superbike is night and day. And anything I've learned riding a Supersport bike, nearly none of it corresponds to riding a Superbike, just because they're so different.
So how, that's an interesting thought when you look at Taz, Brad Ray, Kyle Ride. They're all Supersport specialists.
I know.
That's an interesting thought.
Yeah, I would. The only thing I would say is the Yamaha probably allows you to ride a little bit of Supersport style because it likes corner speed, but other than that, you just nearly need to forget everything you learned riding a 600 to try and manage one of these superbikes.
When I was talking to Ryan Vickers earlier, something that he said that I'd never really considered before. He was talking about racecraft, and from where he's been in the series before, where he's always been attacking, he's kind of forgotten to defend.
Yeah.
So now you're running inside the top 10 and you're pushing forward all the time. Bringing that racecraft from the Supersport to the Superbike, I guess, has put you on the front foot a little bit for this season in that respect.
Yeah, I think leading races and managing them from pit boards in Supersport, definitely know it allows you to run your own race and be focused and be consistent. But like Ryan said, when you're in the pack trying to defend is crazy. When you're in 10th, 11th place, everybody just wants to pass you. Everybody wants to go forward. Nobody is slow. So as much as you're trying to pass the guy in front, you're trying to defend from behind as well. So it's very difficult to manage. And then all the different bikes have their different strengths and weaknesses as well. Like it's no secret to say the Yamaha is probably, I don't want to say, isn't as strong as the BM and the Ducati and the Honda in a straight line, but obviously has other strengths as well. So sometimes you can find yourself getting slipstream quite easy and stuff like that and pass on the brakes, which can be a little bit frustrating. So I think qualifying is always important, but I think it's even extra more important on a Yam to get to the front, because you need to be able to like get away with the front guys, because trying to go forward in a race is quite difficult because of how quick everybody is. And one of the biggest things I learned as well from Supersport. It's like the race. The way a race pans out is nearly the opposite to the way a race pans out in Superbike. Supersport starts crazy, pace is like what everybody has, 100% limit, and then tails off a little bit, as in it gets stretched out and not so many people can go with you towards the end, so it nearly becomes not easier but a little bit more calm towards the end. Whereas a Superbike race, especially a feature race on a Sunday, you get away and you're sat in the pack and you're thinking, this is okay, like, you know, I can manage this, and then it gets to about 5 laps to go and everybody just makes that next step and you're just like, where has that come from? Like, there's nothing left of the tyre. Everybody's like, you're going to be physically feeling it as well, but everybody just seems to make that next step towards the end. So I feel like that's the biggest difference and thing I've had to learn to adapt to and to expect in the Superbike races.
It's been an interesting season to be able to bring that through for you as well, because managing 3 races over a weekend on a 230-ish brake horsepower Superbike it's a whole new level. 2 races on an R6, you're fitting up. We know that. We see it on the Instagram. Every race has got a level of fitness. But now to do 3 races in a weekend and muscling that thing around, especially somewhere like Cadwell Park, it's an eye-opener. It's
night and day, like I said to you, between Supersport and Superbike, and the schedule is so busy, like I said as well. You just never really have time for anything other than prepping yourself for the next session, and the 3 races is just it's a lot. But I think the more I do it, the more I'll get into it, and again, just mentioning the experience, because I think all these guys are used to it because they're doing it so much as well.
Do you feel like a Superbike rider now?
I do. I feel like I belong there. Like I said, we're consistently in the top 10. I feel like there's more and more people wanting your autograph and photos and stuff like that, which is nice as well, because you sort of see yourself nearly then as an established Superbike rider. So it is good.
And that's important, but you've got to feel like you belong as well, because self-belief's important.
It is very important, and I think the only way you sort of get that is from getting these good results, really, and mixing it with the guys that have been there a long time and running with them and finishing so close to them in the race and all that sort of stuff. So all that stuff has sort of helped me this year, make me believe that I should be there and I belong to be there.
Going after Cadwell, 3 rounds left, going to tracks we've already been to. What are your expectations as we head towards the final 3 rounds?
Yeah, hopefully we can hit the ground running a bit more, because all these tracks we come to, it's our first time coming on the R1, and it's a lot to adapt to coming from riding them on a 600, because it's so different on the big bike. So hopefully we can put on stronger performances than we have at these tracks earlier on this year, and hopefully the weather is quite kind to us as well. But saying that, I had my best result in the wet and brand, so the Yamaha's quite nice to ride in the wet, but that's not to say when the track temperature gets lower and later in the year it won't be that as nice. But we'll see. I feel like we're ready no matter what the conditions, and mixed conditions I'm quite good in as well. So I feel like we sort of have, don't want to sound too confident by saying that we've all sort of options are good for us coming into these last 3 rounds, and hopefully the experience that we gained at the start of the year will help us in these last 3 as well. And obviously we want to finish the season strong, just like everybody else does.
Everybody's doing the same thing, aren't they?
Yeah,
that's the difficult thing.
Yeah, because it's contract time.
We'll come on to that shortly. What I want to ask is, physically, that was a big hit at Thruxton when Danny had the issue with his Honda, and unfortunately you had nowhere to go. That was one of those where you're kind of watching through your fingers from back at home. How
so
were you physically? Hopefully you had a dark visor on.
Yeah, I did, but unfortunately it was just one of them. You could see him go off the track, but his back wheel was locked up, so he had no control of the bike, and unfortunately came back onto the track. And for me, there's only so much deviation you can put into your line or slow down a certain amount because you're going that fast, and unfortunately ran into him. Pain all over, really winded, but everything sort of healed up quite well. Ankles and wrists and fingers, anything that got a bad bang really, but ribs really didn't heal up. Everyday stuff at home was quite painful. Took 4 days off after the crash just to try and let myself heal a little bit, but you can't take the whole 2 weeks off because then you're not ready coming into here. So I had to get back into training, and you could really feel my ribs when my heart rate came up, and you start breathing heavier, a lot of pain coming into the ribs, and having to take painkillers at home when you don't even have to ride a bike is like, this isn't good. So obviously I had no idea how I was going to feel on a bike, because you can't replicate it doing anything else. So came here, and unfortunately I'm in a lot of pain. Doing laps around here, change of direction is really painful, and unfortunately, like, the painkillers that you can take and ice and all that sort of stuff just isn't taking the edge off it. So I'm struggling, but I know Danny Kent's not here. He's ahead of me in the championship, so drilled into my head is just like, I just need to gain points on him. But the one thing finishing a race, but finishing in the points is no mean feat in Superbike. So we're going to assess the situation tomorrow, see how we are, and take it from there, I think.
What would be a satisfactory end to the season for you come Brands, final lap of race 3 at Brands, when you look back?
Top 6 in the dry. Yeah, I think that's a reasonable and realistic target. Yeah, top 6 in the dry. I'd be happy with anything top 6, I suppose, yeah. But not just one race, the 3 of them. Because I'm all about consistency, and consistent results is what brings you championship position. So I'm not all about, if I'm in 6th, go and try and win the race and throw it up the road. That's not me. I think because I've got a little bit of experience and I'm a bit older now, I can sort of see the bigger picture, and that doesn't bring results home. It doesn't make the team happy. It wrecks the bike. You have the chance of injuring yourself. You're out for the next round. So I really base myself on consistency, really, and trying to stay on it, because they're not easy to stay on.
Not when somebody locks up in front of you.
No.
Well, it's okay. Here's another question for you then. Where's the best chance of finishing that top 6 in the dry before the end of the season?
I'll tell you when it happens. It's nearly impossible to say.
It's not quite a cop-out, but I'll give you that.
It's nearly impossible to say, because I'll give you an example. I talked to Kyle Ryan today, and he's like really surprised at how fast he is, because he's nearly a second quicker than he was last year. But then he said, like, I didn't think I'd be this quick. I was nearly dreading coming here a little bit, and he's flying. And he said the same about Knockhill. He didn't think he'd be going well at Knockhill, but he was on the podium, he was challenging for wins, and then he was really looking forward to getting Snetterton, and all he could do was in 9th place, and he was just like, what is going on? So it's very difficult for me to sit here and tell you which place I'm going to be good at, because we don't know what the weather's going to be, and I don't know what my pace will be at them tracks. But
get you as a grown-up.
I know. Well, I've been around, haven't I? I'm a bit older than I look.
You and me both.
So I'm going to say Donington.
That's fair. I'm not going to hold you to it. I'm not going to come like knocking on the garage door and go, you said. I'm not going to do that to you. I told you I wouldn't throw you under the bus. I'm not going to do that. I mean, the fans might.
Yeah, I know. Someone will comment on social media.
They're knowledgeable. They know what's going on.
Well, yeah, to a certain extent. You get the odd one.
You don't look at some of the forums.
Yeah.
Some people are great. Some...
I know. Well, you're always going to get that on social media, aren't you?
100%.
Some people are going to love you and some people are going to hate you, and that's just the way things are.
It's just like we get that with the podcast. Someone watches all day long, someone ever watches again. It's fair enough. You can't please everybody.
Each to their own.
Yeah, 100%. Talk to me. We're getting into that time of year, like you said earlier on. It's contract time. Ideally for Jack Kennedy for 2024, what would you like to see? I'd
love to stay where I am. Like I said, I've got a really good crew around me, great atmosphere in the team. Sort of a family sort of atmosphere, because it's like a family run team, family owned team. So and I think we've done a good job. So I think I've earned a place, I think, to stay next year. And I think if I stayed, I think the continuity and the relationship would only build stronger, and what that will bring is even better results than what we have now. Because if there's one thing I've lacked in Superbike is consistency and continuity. I've never had the chance to better myself the second year on something good, and I think if I could do that now, I could really show what I can do.
You've taken my next question kind of out. Look, you're right, because that's exactly what I was going to say. We had the question asked earlier on in the season when Tim left here, Tim left McCann's, and like, who would you put on it? And everybody was saying, put Charlie Nesbitt on it, put Storm on it. But then you talk to the other riders that they're not experienced enough. But how do you get experienced if you don't get that continuity?
I know.
Not talking from Tim's perspective, maybe right time, wrong team, right time, whichever. We'll talk to Tim at the end of the season. But I think it's crucial for riders, even with the experience you have, to have that continuity in the first 2 or 3 seasons. To make it in this class.
You need it, really. You can't improve unless you have it. And if you look at anybody that's doing well, like I keep saying, like most of them are 5 years plus in the class, maybe 3 for the exceptions of maybe Kyle, who's doing an exceptional job. But like most people that are at the front are there 5 years, if not more. And I think, if given the opportunity, I don't see why we can't improve if we're given the tools we need to do the job and the continuity to move forward, because I think everybody needs that.
You do 5 years in Superbike, you'll be 30 then. Plus that. We know it's right, isn't it? It's absolutely right. Jennifer, could you pass me the... But that covers for next year. I think it's important if you can get that continuity and the team are happy to continue and do it in that way. I think that's vital for you, and I also think that we will see progression in that time as well.
Yeah,
because
I think naturally it will come. You know,
well, you're governed by your results, but in any class.
Yeah.
But to see that then go from sort of late top 10, mid top 10 to then challenging for top 5s and podium on the right equipment, which there's no doubt the R1's the machine to be on.
Yeah.
And still retaining the help that you've had, I think would be fantastic for you.
Yeah, me too.
Let's make it happen. That's what we need to do. We need to make that happen. What we've started a new little segment in the show. So we talk about the career, and we've done that. We've talked about the season, and that's everything else.
Now we're gonna have a bit of crack, are we?
Yeah. This is the bit that's fun, because it's great to tell the story of the season, but I like to get to know the people better. We've seen you about the paddock, and it's enough to say hello and what have you. And it's ridiculous that it's taken me so long to get you on the show. It's just nuts. I think in the early days, you scared me a little bit, so I didn't want to approach you. So now I've got to know you a bit better. It's only Jack, he's fine.
I'm sound.
It's exactly, we know that now. But sometimes I look at people and go, ooh. Like we had Tom Booth-Amos on. Most people think he was sound as a pound. He was great.
Yeah.
But I'm not asking an opinion on him because
I don't mind him. Look, he's a confident, sort of little bit arrogant kind of guy, but he backs it up with results sometimes. So you can't knock off from that.
Nah, if you can do that, it's the right thing.
And everybody's different, and that's just how he approaches things. And so be it,
100%. Everybody's different, and that's the key.
Yeah.
You can't all be the same.
No.
Because if you did, it'd be really
some people are loud, some people are quiet, some people are in the middle, and that's just the way people are.
It's exactly right. Jennifer has how do you know how many have you done it for? 27?
Yes.
27 questions?
Yeah, no, we picked 3.
Oh.
You got racing tomorrow, it's fine. We've got 27 questions on one side of things that we picked 3 from. And then we've got another side which is a bit more light-hearted as well, and we picked 3 from there as well. So I don't know what's coming out on this.
Oh.
It's not fixed.
24.
Oh, that's 24. Okay, over the years, who has been your biggest rival?
Probably Ben Curry. Had some amazing battles with him in Supersport when he was on the Gearlink Kawasaki, and just put me under so much pressure for championships and come out stronger next day and get you a little bit unexpected as well, and ridiculously fast in the rain as well, which was so frustrating because I don't know what it is about Irish or Australian people are quite good in the rain for some reason, and it's always been a battle of who's nearly better, but he's crazy talented in the rain and really talented as well, and pushed me really hard in my Supersport career to get them championships. So I'd probably say him.
I'm not going to big Ben up too much as a co-host on the show that we do. Would you say he helped improve you as a rider?
Yeah, and I'm nearly sure he would probably say the same, because we pushed each other to such maximum limits that we didn't know we really were there, and managed to sustain it for the whole race. And you're just thinking, whoa, that was a fast race, and the two of us held on right till the checker flag. So I think the both of us could probably say that about each other.
Absolutely works both ways. Yeah. Interesting that. I like that one. 16. Who's been the most influential person in your life?
In general?
Yeah.
Jeez, that's a big question.
They ain't easy questions, these.
Oh.
Should we go back to the one on where do you want to ride next year? That's probably an easier question.
I'm going to say my dad.
Yeah.
Just because of how much he's put into me and how much time and effort and everything that he's ever put into me to get me to where I want to be, and the support that he gives me. And he's even here with me this weekend, just doing the small stuff that nobody sees that makes the weekend easier for me, whether it be bringing your helmet, getting it collected, making sure you're hydrated, or you've got the right painkillers in you and everything, and just does everything, just goes above and beyond me for everything. And you'd even take it back to the days where you started racing and we're all stuck into the back of a transit van going racing up the north of Ireland, and you'd be leaving the house at 4 a.m. to make it there for 7 a.m. to be set up to be on track at 8:30, and he'd do all the driving, he'd work all day, he'd prep my bike, he'd do absolutely everything, and then drive us all home while we're all asleep, stuck in the back of the van, just all that sort of stuff, because you nearly not take it for granted, but you just sort of know he's going to do that. But there's so many people that don't have the support of their parents like that, and they have to go on their own and try and make their own way, and I find it's 10 times more harder when you don't have the support of your family doing all that sort of stuff, because if he wasn't doing that sort of stuff, I probably wouldn't be where I am today. But also you'd have to pay someone to do that sort of stuff for you, which you wouldn't be able to afford. So I don't think there was any way out of it without him, and I don't think I'd be where I am today without him either.
Love that. That's the answer that I was kind of expecting from you, looking at the question when it came out, that that's the way. And it's lovely to give a nod to Dad as well, because they don't get the credit they deserve.
No, they don't.
Especially in this championship.
Yeah.
And in this sport, should I say.
And he just lives for racing, and he loves it, and he just loves coming here every time. And he's got a great social aspect here as well, as a lot of people that he likes. And it's here is it's strange. It's like a different world from the world that you live in. It's nearly like a bubble. It's nearly not realistic or something. It's like everything from home sort of goes away or something, and you come here to your another life. And obviously it's like a big community, big traveling community. So it's really fun to see all these people and build all these relationships with everyone. And I think he enjoys coming here just as much as I do.
Fabulous. I love that. Jennifer, number 2. Now, I asked this to Ben and Tommy back at Brands Hatch, and they completely misheard the question.
Okay.
Because the end bit.
So listen.
So the end bit is really crucial. What's the best bit of advice that you've ever received, but you didn't take?
Whoa. You've ever received, but you didn't take?
So it's kind of a retrospective question, because you only realise after. You're like, damn, that was really good advice. I wish I'd have taken that.
Listen more in school. From me ma.
It's right.
Because it's a funny one now. When I was quite the class clown and always in trouble, but you sort of see that as being cool at the time. But now that I'm older, I think it'd be way cooler if I was a degree in a doctor or accountant, and having the nice car, the nice house and all, because that's cool. The class clown isn't cool. The class clown's only cool when you're in school and you seem it's funny, but what's funny about it is that you're not going to get the results because you're not putting the work in. So I think, looking back at things now, I wish I listened and worked harder in skill.
It's going to go back to the motorhome tonight going, fucking, why did they ask that question?
But I'm lucky I made it as a motorcycle
racer, which is super cool.
But that's all
it
I
is
ever...
for me, because I can't do it.
That's all I ever told anyone that I was going to be whenever I was in school. So I'm lucky it worked out.
You've done all right so far, haven't you? You've done good. 30 of these. Number 10. Oh, you like this question a lot. What was the last thing you did for the first time?
Last thing you did for the first time? Jesus. Last thing you did for the first time? Tried a different dessert.
Perfect. There you go. If you always have profiteroles and you went for the strawberry gatto, that's it.
I normally go for the chocolate fudge cake, and I went for the sticky toffee cheesecake.
Oh. As there's an empty bowl.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good choice. Yeah, so
toffee cheesecake. Yeah. There you go. It's not a difficult question, but suddenly you go, shit.
Makes you think a lot though.
26. You're on your own. You're in your car. You got your Spotify or your Apple Play on. What are you singing?
What am I singing? How far are we driving?
On the way from
I don't know.
dropping the kids off at nursery, or
I don't know what it is, but if I've got a bit of a road trip on my own, I like listening to 80s music for some reason.
There's a man after my own heart.
For some reason, I don't know why, I've got a soft spot for 80s music, and I think that's grown up hearing my dad listening to it all the time. He introduced me to all the artists that I sort of, and then I sort of got involved with it. But the main genre I'd probably listen to is house music or rap, really. Rap, UK rap and USA as well. So a bit of Dave, a bit of Fredo, bit of J Hus. He's like,
I have no idea.
Ask your kids.
My daughter will probably know,
Yeah.
but then again, she listens to 80s music as well.
Does she?
Yeah. But 80s music is happy music.
Yeah, it's good.
You can't listen to 80s music and be upset or something.
No, it's good.
or
It's just
angry
something
at
good
something.
about it, yeah. Yeah, a bit of White Snake, bit of Foreigner, bit of
Do you want to know what love is?
Duran. Yeah, that's a great tune, isn't it? It's a real driving song, isn't it?
This is it.
Isn't it?
What are they,
On a good sound system now.
Yeah, I've got a B&O in my car. So
Yeah,
that's not too
Bose
bad.
in my Audi, yeah, so good.
Superb.
Yeah.
See, this is it. This is when we get to the
Yeah.
proper stuff.
I'm getting old, am I?
No, you can appreciate older music without being old, Jack. That's not a problem. But you're just a man after your own heart with the 80s music. That's the bit that we love.
Yeah.
I'm a big Bon Jovi fan myself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, ma loves Bon Jovi.
That's
him.
my number one band, you see.
Yeah.
I've even got the Superman tattoo up on my shoulder.
Have you?
Yeah, it's the only tattoo I've got.
You really like him then?
Sit next to yourself.
Yeah.
It felt like a good idea when I was 18.
Yeah.
I'm going to have that Superman logo on
I've got some tattoos that felt like a good idea when I was 18.
It's a good idea, but you haven't stopped, and you got
No.
some great ink. What's the inspiration behind them?
Yeah, they
Here's
all
a subject for you.
They all sort of have a meaning, yeah. So like, just one or two would be like sink or swim. Really, I feel like you've got two options in life, you know. When the going gets tough, you either back out or you keep swimming.
It's true enough,
And that's my motto. Like, giving up isn't an option.
and that's the way for superbikes.
It's never
isn't
an
it?
option, yeah. And then that's just something say close to my heart. Then that's me partner. That's me dad. That's me mum. That's me sister.
Brilliant. See, this is fabulous. That you, Jen's like nodding at me, going, "That's it. Now we've got some good questions
Yeah.
because it's what means things.
Yeah,
it's personal to you.
Yeah, a lot of it is personal, and then I've even got one on my chest.
Have you got a big Luke Mossy chest piece?
No, and I've got all different bits, but it's like a rev counter at about 14,000 RPM, sort of to replicate my number, and then just a banner underneath it with written "luck" underneath it because of I was going through a bad stage in my career in Superbike and just having no luck and just being injured for the whole season and just never catching a break, and don't know, got a tattoo with that and got luck written on me, so hopefully I will get some luck, but things did turn around after that.
It's not been an easy career for you. I know you've had some successes, but there's been some left turns that maybe should have been right turns as well.
Yeah,
So
big time, yeah.
You've had to pull yourself through that as well, which is testament to making it into Superbike.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple of years later than you would have liked, and
Yeah.
maybe done a Danny Buchan where you've had to go back to come forward again.
Yeah, but we're here.
But that's perseverance for you.
Yeah, like giving up isn't an option, like I
It
said.
never is. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Let's do the number
I
14.
don't like when you do this giggle, this little snigger.
So we'll do question number 14. Have you ever knowingly broken the law?
Yes.
What did you do?
Can't tell you. Not on camera.
Well, there's a question. It's there. And speeding doesn't count.
Speeding doesn't count.
No.
Yeah.
So yes, is that
Yeah,
all we're getting?
I was quite a bit of a menace when I was growing up, really, on the road, really, yeah. On scooters, on mopeds, cars, all going to all them types of car meets and drag racing on public roads and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's a long a lot of information that could come out of that. Yeah, so a lot of driving offences and some more stuff, but yeah, lucky enough I grew up a bit and got out of all that, yeah, and copped on a little bit.
The secret of an interviewer is when the interviewer shuts up, you feel the need to talk.
Yeah,
so I just let you do it.
That's why I'm like, I'm gonna stop myself before I say too much.
Because it's your first time on the show, and I've thoroughly enjoyed this. Thank you, Jack. This has been fabulous.
Thanks, I've enjoyed it too.
There's 2 final questions that I ask every guest on their first time they come on. The first one is in 2 parts. What's your favourite corner and why?
Favourite corner on UK tracks?
Favourite corner wherever you've raced? I'll give you a bit of fill-in time because most guests, when I go, what's your favourite, they automatically go for track.
Yeah.
It's not, because that's too easy. Your corner's a little more difficult because you've ridden at tracks all over over Europe and the world, and you've had a lot of time on tracks. But one corner, I'm buying you so much time here, Jack. One corner that you always, or when you've come out of it, you go like, yeah, nailed it. And it gives you that little fizzy feeling down in the old man garden when you've done it right.
I'm gonna say Phillip Island, Turn 1. And then if we've got to say UK track, Druids, Sultan Park.
That's a corner. That's a corner. It's Jen's favourite circuit. It's Alton Park. It's the one place I love watching at Alton Park.
Druids.
Yeah, for me,
so much in it.
So much going on.
Yeah.
So much going on. But yeah, Phillip Island, Turn 1, it's full commitment there.
Yeah.
A lot of people say Turn 3, especially if they're on a super bike.
Yeah, that's Turn 3.
Because you're powering through.
Yeah.
But there's so much commitment it's me talking like I know what, like I've done
so
it.
Fast, yeah.
The commitment that you need to go into that is something special, especially if the wind's behind you.
That's another one I've never even thought about was Turn 1 at Navarra, where we tested at the start of the year.
Yeah.
My God,
on the super bike.
Never experienced a corner as fast as that.
170ish plus,
and the rest. It's 6th gear on the limiter. It's unbelievably fast on full lane.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And I've never experienced a corner like it for speed.
Good. That gets your attention.
Yeah.
Big time. And going on what you just said previously about, I don't know whether to ask this one or not. What's your best hire car story?
Whoa.
And every guest gets asked this question. This isn't just because of what you said earlier. Every guest gets asked this question. From Freddie Spencer to Wayne Gardner.
I've actually been quite good in hire cars, as in I've never wrote one off, never crashed one badly. No, I've actually kept it on 4 wheels.
I'm relieved.
I know. Plenty of racing, plenty of overtaking, and then obviously when you've got the full cover. I'll never forget in Spain, went out to Spain first time testing. It was Appleyards. No, it wasn't the first time because I rode from obviously in 2011, but I rode from then 2018. And Robin Appleyard is like the biggest child ever when he gets into a hire car with full cover. So you're sat there at a traffic light waiting to go, and then you just get rear-ended and you're just thinking, what's happening there? And you just see Robin look behind him and he's giggling his head off, laughing. And then it was just basically bumper cars for the whole rest of the trip then, but like just feels wrong doing it. And then every time you come to a stop, you're nearly sat like that, braced. You know the way when you stop after racing go-karts and you're parking up and you're waiting for the smack. Yeah, but kept them all on 4 wheels.
That's good.
Yeah.
Compared to what you said earlier, which you said that, you brought that out. All I did was show up.
I know. No, I managed to look after them, and then obviously you drive them hard and all that sort of stuff, but some people be going like from 5th gear, putting them back into 2nd and 1st, and I just can't do it. I've got quite a lot of mechanical sympathy because I'm a qualified car mechanic myself, and just when you have that mechanical mind, your brain just won't let you do it or something. I don't know what it is, or even starting them up cold and holding them on the limiter and all that sort of stuff. I just feel sorry for engines. So I just can't.
That's a nice way to have it. I
can't do any of that. And even obviously when I'm racing a bike as well, like if I do a back shift that was too aggressive and too high RPM, I'd be like, I'll actually come in and ask the lads, like, was that okay, or did I go too far on it? Like, is that damaging the engine, or am I on the limiter too long anywhere here or there? Because I don't want to damage the engine, because obviously damaging the engine, it could cost you a result as well. 100%. So it's in your own interest to look after it as much as you need to ride it hard, but you can look after it at the same time.
Do you apologise to the bike when you do it?
I do feel bad, and I'm like, oh, but like I say, I feel like, is that after taking some life off the engine?
Yeah.
And is that going to affect me? So it serves like it plays a part for you. If you actually look after it, it will look after you to a certain extent, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because it could be the deciding factor in getting a result or not.
Fabulous. Jack, thank you so much for this. Really enjoyed chatting to you. It's been great to get to know you a bit more.
Thanks.
And let's do this again sometime. I'd love to have you back on.
No problem.
Good luck for the rest of the season. Good luck for this weekend and the rest of the season. And we'll have you back on again sometime.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jack Kennedy.
Cheers.